Support the channel. Buy the Stars and Stripes Freedom Deck. This is a one-of-a-kind design, only available in the USA. Available from La Casa Loca on eBay and Etsy. Alright, so here's a list of my top 10 for 2024's best films. Late Night with the Devil. This is a film normally that I wouldn't be into because for the most part, I don't really like found footage movies. But this film, I think the reason I did enjoy it was one, the story I thought was original and well thought out. But also, it wasn't like a found footage movie like Cloverfield or something, because I hate it when there's like the camera shake. And this was actually filmed as if there was a camera operator who understood composition and all that. So for me, it was also visually pleasing to look at. Even though the beginning of the film, the first act, was a slow burn, that slow burn planted a lot of seeds narratively to pay off later towards the climax of the film. Also, the Bohemian Grove reference was pretty crazy. I've never seen that in a film. So I thought that was pretty gutsy for them to include the Bohemian Grove in the film. And the lesson in this film that when you make a deal with the devil, there are consequences, extreme consequences. Next, we have Fall Guy. This film I had the most fun with, and I think it also has the most replay value out of all the films in my top 10. It was a lot of fun stunts, great action sequences, a lot of great choreography for the stunts, and I love that it's a rom-com. You know, they say guys don't like rom-coms, but with The Fall Guy, this is our type of rom-com, okay? We want to be able to save the day and get the girl. Next up is Dune 2. Dune, even though it has changed a lot of the source material, which is what's kind of got me concerned about Dune Messiah, I cannot deny that I really enjoyed how Denis Villeneuve wrapped up this double feature. The score was incredible. It's beautifully shot. It feels visually larger than life. We got a lot of great memes out of it. I guess the only con is the show that came out on Max. I don't even remember the name of the show, but, you know, I didn't like the show. So, yeah, I don't know. Dune Messiah, I hope it can be a great third film in this trilogy, but I am a little bit concerned with the way certain character beats changed. For example, Chani. Chani changed a little bit too much for me. She was like the only part of the film that I didn't like. Other than that, everyone else, solid. This next film, I was not expecting to have an emotional reaction to that I did. They called The Bike Riders. So The Bike Riders is based on a book that was a photo series of real life bikers from, I think it was like the 50s or the 60s or something like that. I forget what time period exactly it was, but it was definitely decades ago. And the story kind of reminds me of SLC Punk, but for bikers, where you have this friend group that you get really attached to and you kind of feel like you become part of this family that they form. But also you see how this thing that started out as just a group of friends turns into a gang. It became a gang against their will. Like for them, this biker lifestyle to them was just a camaraderie. It was never supposed to be this gangster movement. So yeah, Bike Riders, I would say for me, definitely hit an emotional core. And so that's why it's in my top 10. Long Legs. So Nicolas Cage, man, we are blessed with so many memes of Nicolas Cage. And Long Legs really does feel like the Nicolas Cage memes, but as if they're like made to be horrifying. The crazy Nicolas Cage we get in the memes, it's like we got that same kind of crazy in Long Legs, but it was actually terrifying to watch. And we still got memes out of it too. I would say that this film, if I was to do a marathon of these mystery crime thrillers, you could have Silence of the Lambs, Seven, and Long Legs. Just make it the ultimate triple feature. Nicolas Cage's presence is felt throughout the film because, how do I put this? I forget her name, Micah Monroe. Her connection to the case that she's been assigned to, it just amplifies. It becomes crazier and crazier till you get to the climax of the film. But yeah, Long Legs, I think, is a great addition to the horror lineup we had for 2024. This next film, I think nobody watched this year. I don't think the marketing for this film was good, but I really had a good time with it. It's called Slingshot. It is a sci-fi thriller. Imagine every time you go into an hibernation cycle in deep space, it slowly drives you crazy each time you wake up. That's basically what this film is. Imagine now 3 people locked into an apartment-sized spaceship just going crazy at the same time. And the reason they're going crazy is due to the hibernation cycles. It creates this tense conflict between the 3 characters, which then kind of has this ambiguous ending that kind of makes you question what the conflict was actually happening between which characters. It's just, I don't want to spoil it. I feel like if you have time, give Slingshot a watch. It really is a nightmare in space. This next film, before watching it, I didn't think would even make it into my top 10. I just thought it would be a movie that was worth giving a watch, but I didn't imagine it being in my top 10. And it is the documentary Am I Racist? With Matt Walsh, who kind of does a bit of a Sacha Baron Cohen Borat style documentary where he cosplays as a liberal idiot, I guess you could say. It's hilarious, but also it has a character arc throughout the film. Like, I understand he's making a documentary and he's kind of putting on this character, but the character arc that his persona goes through was actually something I was not expecting at all from the film. I think that's also why I put this in my top 10, just because even though he's exposing these very vitriolic people, he managed to tell a story of the effect that people have with their brainwashing and propaganda. So yeah, that's why this is in my top 10 as well. Up next is another comedy. This one's a crime comedy called Wolves with George Clooney and Brad Pitt, who definitely, if you've seen the Ocean's films, their chemistry is still alive and well. This one also too has a lot of replay value. I appreciate that because of the nostalgia I had for the Ocean's movies, I was able to watch this movie with my pops. So it felt like, it kind of gave me a flashback of being a kid and watching movies with my pops. All right, now, this next film I think might be my favorite film of the year, The Substance, which I think David Cronenberg would be very proud to see. It also has this very timeless truth about the differences between men and women and things we desire. For like women in your youth, you possess this magic you don't even appreciate. Well, I would say between 18 and 28. Got this 10-year period of just having this magic power over the opposite sex with men. And with men, our version of that, it would be strength. But for both sexes, they only last so long. Like for women, you, like I said, you got that 10-year period where you just really got this prime magic power over the psyche of men who are, I would say, vulnerable to themselves. Men, we don't really learn our lesson, the carnal desire that we struggle with. And there's women who understand that they can take advantage of that. So it's just, but it doesn't last forever. So yeah, that's what I appreciate about this substance. It's a woman trying to hold on to this power, this kind of, this magic in nature that women have, but only for a brief period of time. And as she's losing it, she's so desperate to get that feeling back. But it comes with extreme responsibilities, with extreme consequences if you do not obey the balance, if you do not respect the balance. Now, finally, I think I may be seeing this in rose-tinted glasses because I just watched the film yesterday. I'm going to go watch it again tomorrow, and that is Nosferatu. It's visually beautiful like Bram Stoker's Dracula. I would say, obviously, in Robert Eggers' style. It's not a one-to-one for the Bram Stoker. But I also, too, appreciate that he gave a shout-out in the credits to Bram Stoker. He was the OG, the originator of this vampire story. And with Emma's narrative additions, I thought that added a lot of value to the story. And I think finally, the supernatural and inevitable nature of Nosferatu's presence and actions were one of the greatest ways I've seen a vampire being portrayed in a film. It's one of the few times where I could say the remake was better than the original. And in this case, this is the fourth film that I know of that is a Nosferatu film. Anyways, those are my top 10. So thanks for tuning in, and let's look forward to another year of movies in 2025. Have a happy new year, guys. Follow us on Twitter at @Ghettoplex_MP4, on Instagram at Ghettoplex.mp4, and subscribe to us on YouTube at Ghettoplex. Be part of our story. Buy the Stars and Stripes Freedom Deck, the deck that defines the American dream. Ships in the USA only. Available from La Casa Loca on eBay and Etsy.